it's still very difficult, I would say, but maybe a little bit more easy. I don't know if that is because it's a new year and some banks have opened up their books again, but I also think that investors are much more aware and knows better what will actually work. Single asset buildings is in general quite difficult. But if you have a good relationship with the bank, you will probably get some offers in, although the margins are quite high. I don't know if
I must say that I'm more optimistic than that, because I've seen a huge difference over the last 4 or 5 months. And for many reasons. Of course, the banking sector in general is performing better all over Europe, I would say, but especially in Sweden. We've seen all the banks, the share prices have gone up quite dramatically. They are making enormous profits. And they are probably the strongest banking sector in Europe right now, would be the Swedish banking sector. And that means that it's much easier to access financing. But they are quite cautious. They do just lend to those that they trust, really. And they prefer stable listed companies, families where they have lended out money for several years. It's slightly harder for Norwegian syndication firms or for some UK-based funds that have not been active in Sweden or been active in Sweden but used German banks in the past and now trying to build up a network with the Swedish banks. They have slightly tougher to get access to the financing. But for most Swedish investors, it is much, much better today than it was just 3 or 4 months ago. And if you just go back to August, we had basically 3 big banks being active in the market. Today you can count 8 or 9 banks being quite active. And many reasons for that. One of them is that the German financing market is quite competitive. And that means they pour some money out of Germany to Sweden. The German money will not pour to Greece or Cyprus or Spain in many, many years, but it comes quite quickly to Stockholm. And we also see some Danish banks coming to Sweden and some new Danish banks entering into the Swedish market.
And are these mostly, are these club deals or are these single banks?
The ticket sizes is also something that you get much bigger ticket sizes from a bank today than you did just a few months ago.
Okay.
But you will also see some consortium, some banks for the really large assets. For instance, Kista Galleria, that was divided by 3 banks, even though there were one bank willing to take all of it. A few years ago, we had to sit back when we saw this enormous lending gap to find new ways. And of course, we see that all over Europe now that pension funds are turning into debt. And that is something we've been working on. It's quite a slow process to get those big pension funds to change it from direct ownership into lending. But that's starting to happen right now, and we made a bond issue just 2 days ago, and that was 83 million euros. It was a rather large bond issue, and that was senior financing that we raised from the capital market instead of from the banks. That was one of the first times that has been done. I think that was the second time for a listed company.
Okay.
And this was on a portfolio. Last time was just on one large lease agreement with the state. So that shows that there is much more alternative financing available. And there is so much discussions going on within the institutional sector right now about new ways to deploy capital into financing.